Hi, welcome. Today we've got Craig Holman, former professional baseball player with the Phillies minor league organization, owner of Holman Baseball Academy, and father of Luke Holman, 2021 signee at the University of Alabama. Craig, appreciate you spending some time with us today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me on here.
Well, man, listen, when I looked at your bio, I didn't know what to ask first, man. You played, you're a father of a player, you're in the game now, you got travel experience. I mean, you're doing it all right now.
As I like to say, I'm jack of all trades, master of none, but I know how to do just about everything, and I kind of dabble in everything. So highly
start off by
educated.
Start off by telling me a little bit about your family.
I met my wife while I was pitching Double-A baseball with the Reading Phillies. I was here in 1993, got called up from A-ball, pitched that summer, had a very good summer. And I met her with like a month to go in the season up here in Reading, believe it or not. And we went on a few dates, and I had to go to instructional league that year. They were sending me down to Clearwater. I said, I got to go down for 2 or 3 months. And then we spoke. I moved back up that winter. We dated all winter. I went to spring training, got sent back to Double-A, played here another year, and we got engaged and was married 2 years later. So met her. I'm originally from Atala, Alabama, down near Gadsden, north of Birmingham. Went to Jacksonville State University. So, she's from Pennsylvania. I'm from Alabama. So I got a mix, 2 kids, Jordan. Jordan is female, even though her name is Jordan. So I'm saying I got 2 boys. I'm like, no, I got a girl. She's 20, and she's playing college softball. Phenomenal athlete. She played just about every sport. Very good basketball, softball player. She is currently at Messiah College here in Pennsylvania. Plays shortstop. Just an overall great athlete. And then she helped produce our brother, who's 2 years behind her, by beating him up for years. He did. The poor kid couldn't win anything because of her. And then when he became 6 foot tall, things changed. But Luke is a 2021 graduating this year. He is committed to University of Alabama. Right now, he's slated to go in the 2, 3, 4 round range in the Major League Baseball draft in July. If he does a few things good or bad, could change. But right now, he's probably about a 3rd round draft pick. So I don't know if he'll get to Alabama. I love Coach Bohannon and down at Bama, and I'd love to see Luke pitch in the SEC for 3 years and go down there and watch some SEC baseball. But if he gets taken in the 3rd or 4th round, the amount of money you get out of high school, you probably should take it, not just for the money, but for the opportunity. As well as I do, we've both been drafted professionally. Those guys that are drafted in the top 5 rounds, they get pushed a little bit through the system. They get a little bit extra tender love and care.
Yeah, for sure. So let me take you back to your playing days. So you're playing high school baseball. What was recruiting like back in the day? Because like you said, we pretty much got recruited about the same time frame in that same era. What was it like then, and how did you make your decision?
I graduated in 1987, so I'm dating myself, certainly 51 years old. I was a football player, baseball player, didn't play high school basketball, though I played city league basketball. So overall, really good athlete. But the baseball recruiting aspect was not like it is today, of course. It's not even comparable. We had no PBR. We didn't have perfect game. But I had a lot of colleges who were interested. I had a lot come to my games when I would pitch. But back then, I think it was the high school coach, to be honest with you. I had a phenomenal high school coach, Larry Foster, who he went to Jacksonville State also. He was an All-American there. Also played 7, 8 years in the minor leagues, won a Triple Crown in Triple-A while he was playing. So that was a phenomenal accomplishment and just an incredible player. So he did a lot of our recruiting, and he used to tell us, if we play for him, we will go to college. And he told every kid that in high school. He said, if you play for me and you can start for me, because we had a great program. We won 2 state titles in my 4 years there. And we had Stacy Jones, played in the big leagues, was on that team. We had 4 or 5 guys get drafted. He got them a scholarship. And some it was easier to get a scholarship for, and some schools you had to beg, you got to take this kid, got to take this kid. And that still takes place today. I know I call a lot of friends of mine and look, I know the kid's not standing out now, but get him on campus, get him in the weight room. You'll be amazed what you're being handed. And so there's a lot of salesmanship that still goes on today. But back then it was a high school coach, to be honest with you.
So what about your college career? Pretty outstanding college career that led to some professional opportunities. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, college career, I had a phenomenal college career. And I always say it was probably the best 4 years. I went to Jacksonville State University. It was a Division II college at the time. I had a few Division I offers. My high school coach went to Jacksonville State. It was close to home. It was an easy fix for me to go over there. I did like Coach Abbott, who was the head coach there. Pitched some as a freshman. Actually signed to go over there to play third base and pitch. And after throwing that freshman fall, he came to me and said, look, you're throwing 90 miles an hour. You got some good pitches. We got a third baseman and Stuart Lee, who was there at the time. I think Stuart was a 3-time All-American, and said, we need some pitching, and you're going to pitch as a freshman. So we'd like for you to focus on pitching. It was the best thing probably I ever did. Had a decent freshman campaign out of the bullpen. I remember Frank Thomas hit 2 home runs off of me at Auburn, which ended up being my only loss. I think I had 3 losses in 4 years, and that was one of them out of the bullpen. But my sophomore year, I was a first-team All-American, Division II Pitcher of the Year, went 12-1, went to the College World Series, and the only game I lost was a semifinal game against New Haven, Connecticut. And then my junior year, 8-0, national title. I pitched the national title championship game. And then my senior year, I think I was 10-2 and won another Division II national title. We won it back-to-back years. And I got drafted by Toronto my junior year in the 12th round, chose to go back and finish my senior year there. And I was kind of glad I did. Went in the Jacksonville State University Hall of Fame. I think it was 10 years ago now, maybe 10 years after school, which was a big deal to me. My son went on a recruiting trip to Jacksonville State last year, and I got a big photo on the ceiling of their new stadium, and it's me throwing a baseball. So, in the national title. So it's really, really cool.
So that led to some professional offers. Talk to me a little bit about your pro career.
Pro career started out very well also. I went later in the draft than I thought I would my senior year. I think I ended up maybe the 20th round, 22nd, somewhere around there with the Phillies. But I was we flew down to Clearwater, Florida for a 3-4 day mini camp, threw a couple of nice bullpens. They sent me to the New York Penn League. I was 22 years old, a senior, and actually I was opening day starter in the New York Penn League for the Phillies. Tyler Green was the first round pick that year. He had not come to terms. They had, I think Ronnie Allen was a third round pick out of Texas A&M. He had not come to terms. And then so they came to me and said, look, you're our best option right now. We like what you did in college. And opening day in Geneva, New York against the Cubs. And the leadoff hitter was Doug Glanville. Never forget it. I talked to Doug all the time, and he was the first professional hitter I ever faced. And Ozzie Timmons, who had a pretty good career and is first base coach with the Tampa Bay Rays now, he hit cleanup in the order. And but I led the New York Penn League in ERA that year. I think 1.7, 1.8. Had a great year, got out of the gate well, and actually did very well for the next 3 years until 94. I had rotator cuff surgery in AA. I led the Eastern League in complete games in 93 at Reading AA. And then the next year, my shoulder just did not feel good. Ended up needing rotator cuff surgery, missed the whole year, half of 95. Really came back and salvaged that year, half the year throughout the bullpen, got my velocity back. My shoulder felt good, and then was promoted to AAA the next year in 96. Had 3 good years in AAA. Thought a couple of times I should have been called up. Didn't get it. Went to Venezuela, trying to work on a cutter. And then my ending career, my 3rd year in AAA, mid-season, I was back in the starting rotation. I tore my elbow and had Tommy John surgery. And that's basically what ended my pro career. Came back a year later after that, and it was just very painful. I was 30. Of making good money in AAA, so they couldn't keep me around, and was released at 30 years old.
So talked about that transition. So you've been in baseball, playing baseball on a day-to-day basis for a long time, and now suddenly you got to go do something else. Talk to me a little bit about that transition.
Yeah, Marty, to me, the hardest thing on the planet, and I've talked to a lot of other players about this, I almost wanted to start a support group at one time. Uh, the longer you play in professional sports, the harder it is to transition into everyday life. If you play 2 or 3 years, you then get released, you're 23, 24, you can jump into a job, you're still young. When you play up until 30, 31, 32, and then you're out trying to get a job. Most jobs that you're up for at that time with no experience other than playing professional baseball, which, don't get me wrong, professional baseball to me gives you a skill set, a work ethic, people skills that's off the charts. I always say that. Listen, you got really good people skills if you spend 5 or 6 years in pro ball. But what you are is a 31-year-old rookie going into everyday life. And the jobs they want to give you, generally you're working beside a 22, 23-year-old kid right out of college, and it's not easy. And being a professional athlete, we spoke about this earlier, is a type A personality. You're a hard worker. You feel like what you do is right, and you know what's best for you. But I called a break. I got out and got a job offer with a medical sales company called Biomet out of Warsaw, Indiana. And a doctor, John Martin, who had done rotator cuff surgery on me in 94, he actually approached me and said, look, I got a great job for you. I think you'd be very good at it. You speak well. I've heard you speak at banquets. People like you. They gravitate to you. And I've been doing that 20 years. It was actually a great career. I got in, I think I was salesman of the year 2 or 3 years in a row. In the country with Biomet, grew the territory. Then I was handed my own distributorship, and things have been good. And I transitioned that into buying a complex. And I have a sports complex with an indoor arena, football, indoor soccer, and then purchased another property and put an indoor baseball facility. And it's been good. I've had a really good professional career outside of baseball when I retired. I can't complain. And I'll be honest with you, when I got into the everyday real world, that became my second baseball career. It had to. You have to move on because you can sit and you can beat yourself up. I know you played a couple of years with the Rangers. You can sit and go, man, if I'd have done this different and that different. And I tell people, forget that. You did it. I know you did everything you could, but we can always do something different. We could have threw a different pitch that led to that 3-run homer that changed the game. And the best thing you can do when you get out of professional sports, to me, and this is my opinion, is take whatever else you're going to do, whether it's welding or being a plumber or starting your own business, your own baseball academy, and make that your career now and work as hard as you can.
Great. So let's fast forward now. So now you've got a young man that's coming up playing the game. Talk to me a little bit about when you kind of realized, hey, okay, he's going to have the abilities to play at the next level. So we need to start thinking about this recruiting thing.
Yeah, my son, Luke, great story, man. Luke is a great story. And I know you probably don't know this. Not many people do, but he was a great little athlete. Got a sister 2 years older, superstar athlete. My wife was a superstar athlete, went into her high school Hall of Fame at Wilson. So the kids were genetically inclined to be very good at sports. But Luke had developed. He was diagnosed with cancer at 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
And he had a bellyache for like 2 or 3 months. And he was playing quarterback on the football team. And, he'd say, my stomach hurts. And, well, maybe he ate something wrong. But he was getting up in the middle of the night and throwing up, and around 3 a.m. And so we took him to the doctor. I think we went to the pediatrician 5 or 6 times. Oh, there's nothing wrong. They did blood work. They did everything. Said, there's nothing wrong. Is he nervous? Is he nervous about school? And like, he's not a nervous kid. So around Christmas, we took Luke at 8 years old. He was 7, going to be 8 in January. We took him to Hershey Medical Center, and they did a full body scan. And they came in as the worst thing on the planet for me as a parent. it's the last thing you want to hear. Is they brought us in and said, listen, what are you guys doing for Christmas? It's December 24th. Said, we were going to go up to New York City and see a Spider-Man play, and said, we've got to get him into surgery in about 4 days. He has a tumor in his stomach, and we think it's cancer. And I almost fainted. I did. It's one of those things where you hear news and you see people fall out. But the room went black. And I said, man, I hope to God you're wrong. And he said, Craig, I wish we were, but I don't think we are. We've seen this before. We've been, dealing with cancer here at the medical center for a while. And so we went up there. Needless to say, it was a horrible 3 days. Tried to make the best of it. Came back. They did surgery, took a piece of the tumor, and it came back lymphoma, anaplastic large cell lymphoma. So he went through 12 months of chemotherapy, was bald, and I shaved my head. I think I'm 210 now. I'm always in good shape. I think I got down to about 170 pounds, and I looked very sick. Tried to get up every day, go to work. I never ate anything. You just didn't know which way it was going to go. But the great story is around 4 or 5 months into chemo, the tumor went away, and they did a PET scan, and it had dissolved, and they were like, this is great news. So he was little, and they told us that he was 7, 8, around 10 years old. He was the smallest kid on my travel team, and he didn't throw very hard. And I was concerned. The guy goes, well, sometimes they grow late after cancer treatments. We don't know, but he's going to be healthy. He's going to be fine. We got to it in time. So at around 10, I said, Luke, here's the plan. I want to teach you to be a pitcher. I know it's not a lot of fun, but at 10 years old, you don't throw very hard. I'm going to teach you to throw strikes. I'm going to teach you to throw a curveball for a strike. I'm going to teach you to throw changeup for a strike at all times in the count. So if I call a changeup with 3-2 count, you're going to be able to throw a changeup right down the middle. And so I had this discussion with him. It was honestly a great discussion. And every kid at 10 just reaches back and throws the ball as hard as they can. And he didn't do that. He did not do it. We had a plan, and he was very successful with that plan. Now, what I didn't see is at 13, 14, he'd grow 6 inches. And by 14, 15 years old, he'd be 6'3", throwing 90 in the 9th grade. So he was taught to be a pitcher at an early age. And then, after the cancer, 5 years out, cancer, if you don't know this, it's something to know. The 5-year birthday of cancer is very important for people because your cells in your body are recreated every 5 years. So we're having a conversation here today. We have cells in our body. In 5 years, all those cells will be diminished and recreated. So if you get out 5 years from cancer and it's not back or has not returned, that's when they celebrate and have the big birthday at 5 years. They feel like the cancer will not come back. So when he turned 13, we celebrated, had a big party, and things were good, and we kind of moved on from it. But it was hell for those 5 years, because at 10 years old, he would walk into the house and he would say, my stomach hurts. And I'd say, well, did you eat something bad? And he would say, no, it hurts like it did when I had cancer. So, and we would just want to vomit, from him saying that. And we would pick him up and take him down to Hershey Medical Center, and they'd do a scan. They'd go, no, he's clean. He's good. It's just a funny feeling in his stomach, like losing an arm. You'll feel the arm there every once in a while. They said that tumor was so big, it was softball size, and said he'll feel a void there for a while. So we got through it. And I do get emotional occasionally talking about it, because it was just such a horrible time as a parent, and we'd made the best of it. But he was 8th grade, going into his 9th grade year. I took him to LSU, and a good friend of mine, Alan Dunn's pitcher coach at LSU, and he said, you should bring Luke down. It would be fun. I'd love to see you. And so we got on a plane and went to LSU, and he threw a bullpen, and they put him in the game, and he was facing high school players. He really should have been there. It was 10th, 11th, 12th graders. But he goes, bring him down. We'll throw him on the mound and give him some beat-up experience. So he went out, struck out the side in the first inning at LSU, and they had Paul Maneri and Dunn. All of them were behind the screen, the batting cage. And he had another inning to go, and in between innings, Dunn walked over to me, and he said, hey, don't go anywhere. And I said, why? He goes, I want to talk to you. He said, Paul Mainieri loves him. I love him. And I said, wow. I said, he's an eighth grader. He's throwing about 80 miles an hour, 81, I think, at that time. He said he just threw a curveball with a 2,400 spin rate. And he said, we don't have guys here on our staff that do that at LSU. And he said, it's one. And I even said to him, I said, you know what? I've been saying for a couple of years, he's got a curveball that's just different. When I catch him, it breaks twice. It'll hit me on top of my foot sometimes, and I'm still able to catch pretty well. It was different. So that was the beginning of something that I thought, holy cow, he's in eighth grade, going to ninth grade, and I got two LSU coaches that see the best pitchers in the country. They can recruit anybody they want, and they see this kid throw one inning and they like him. So we had a good talk with LSU. They even talked about committing there, and we came back. He went to PBR showcase in February. We went down to LSU in December. He went to PBR. He threw the bullpen, and there were 20 colleges that called and offered him a scholarship. And they said the same thing, said he has a curveball that we haven't seen in years as a ninth grader. So he added 10 mile an hour. He's up to 93, 94 now. But the curveball, and I'll be honest with you, we both played professional baseball. I played with a lot of good players, and I haven't seen a curveball like the one he's throwing, other than maybe Tyler Green. Tyler Green threw a really nice tight curveball that was straight down, but it is a 12-6 type pitch that I watch him throw it, and I go, no one can hit that. And it's something special. I didn't teach him any special grip. He just started throwing a curveball, and it's certainly natural. But I think the LSU showcase, and then the PBR with Greg Williams, who does a phenomenal job in Pennsylvania with the Prep Baseball Report. He and his son do an incredible job that they get kids noticed. And I'll be honest with you, probably Prep Baseball Report and PG25, sometimes they get bashed a little bit for charging money and doing this, but they do a phenomenal job getting kids into college.
Yeah, I like Greg. Greg was one of the first interviews I did several years ago.
Nice.
Yeah, came up to the facility.
Marty, he's a good dude.
Yeah, he's got a good heart for the guys and wants what's best for the players for sure.
He does. Great heart.
So obviously, I mean, you've got travel teams. You see other guys get recruited. There's a difference between some of those special guys that are getting looked at 8th and 9th grade and the normal recruiting timeline that you see most guys going into their sophomore, junior years before they're developing into and putting up measurables for colleges to come see them play. What are some of the main differences that you have seen between the normal timeline and then some of those special guys that go early? Are there other differences? What makes it different for those guys?
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. Listen, it's easy to recruit guys like my son. Okay, it's not that hard. You get a kid in high school throwing 90, 92 miles an hour with a wipeout curveball and a good changeup who's 6'4", 6'5". Hey, he's going to be good. You know, those are the easy kids to recruit. What I always talk to college coaches about, and a lot of them I played pro ball with. Steve Beazer out at Missouri, played college baseball. Played pro ball in Phillies with him. I got tons of buddies coaching baseball. Is finding the kid in high school who throws 84 to 85, who can flat out pitch, and then look at him and say, if I get him on campus and I can get him to 88 to 90, I've got a stud here. Those are the types of recruiting skills that I think are needed for a great program. There's only so many guys, and I think even if you go on the PG website, guys that throw 90 and above, senior in high school, I think it's like 5% of all pitchers in the country. The average fastball of a high school pitcher is 82 to 85. So what these colleges have to do, and what some do well, is they have to prognosticate on, man, I love his makeup. I love his personality. He's got a good family. He's going to stay out of trouble. He's a good student. And I think if I get him on campus, we can go to work, and I'm going to get him from 83 to 87. That nice little cutter, we can tighten that up, change up, and do some things with that. Those kids are the one that are in the middle. And I tell all the parents this. We have an amazing amount of technology today. We have the internet. Didn't have that when I played or you played. We didn't have social media. We didn't have all of it. We didn't have Zoom, which we're doing right now. We're in completely different locations talking to each other like we're sitting in the same room together. But here's an old saying that is a lie. And I tell parents this, don't fall into this lie. Oh, if he's good, they'll find him. I hear that all the time. And as soon as I hear it, even if I'm not in that conversation, I will actually walk up and go, listen, I just heard you say that. And when I hear it, it just rings in my ear. That's not true. That's not true. Even in the old days, they had scouts driving the roads looking for talent. And, hey, there's a kid down the road here, throws the ball hard. You should go see him. Those are old scout tales. Today, there's so many people playing this game. Okay. When you and I played, graduated high school, you got cut. I mean, we went to Little League practice. They kept 12 and cut 20. They walked home with a bat and a glove over their shoulder, and we got to play. Well, guess what those kids did? They didn't play. They went home. I mean, they went home, played wiffle ball in the backyard, and it was a heartbreak. Today, we're going to keep 13, and we're going to start another team. And if we have enough kids, we're going to start a third team, and we're going to start an elite, black, a gold, a bronze, a blue, a green. You know, we're going to have every team that we can get. We got bodies. We're going to play on a team. So there's kids today, they don't even know what cut means. I say it all the time. I'm like, you guys don't even know what it's like to be cut and walk out of a place going, I didn't make it. I got to go home and go to work now and get ready for next year. Michael Jordan cut off his high school team. Great story that everyone tells. He didn't go and go, okay, I want to go play on another travel team. He went home and did push-ups and shot basketball, got better. So my biggest thing to parents, if you have a child that wants to play college baseball, you got to go to work. You've got to get in a car. I just met with a kid 2 weeks ago that's a phenomenal player. He's going into his junior year, has no offers, and he is a great player, good catcher. So I told his mom, I said, come out to my place. We sat for an hour. I went through this whole thing with them, told them what they need to do. Boom, they're going down to see Greg Williams. They signed up for a couple of places, schools. I said, what schools do you want to go to? He gave me a list of 4. I said, go to every camp they offer this summer. And they got a plan now. But if they had not met with me, I honestly think they'd just continue to play high school baseball. And he's a good kid in small school. Hey, he may not have got any offers because he got overlooked. So I always tell parents, please don't buy into that lie that just keep playing, Johnny, they'll find you. Because there's a lot of technology, but there's so many fish now in the pond that you will get left out if you're not actively searching for a place to play.
So one of the first things that a parent has to do in this process is somehow make this initial assessment of, hey, where can my kid play? What advice do you have for parents who are trying to make that assessment of, hey, does my kid project to be a D2, D3 guy? Is he a Power 5 guy? Because a lot of parents are, they spend all this time heading down the wrong road, when if they had spent a little more time or done the initial assessment right, they could have got a lot more bang for their buck along the way.
Absolutely. And I'm big on this. You need to find the right fit. Okay. And I'm great at analogies. People call me the king of analogies, but I tell all the kids, they'll come in at 16, Mr. Holman, I really, really want to play D1. I want to go to Penn State. I want to go down I love North Carolina. My sister went to a camp there. I love the campus. Well, he throws 77 miles an hour with a horrible curveball. And I go, you're not going to pitch North Carolina. You're not going to pitch out of Penn State. We got to find a D3 maybe somewhere. Now you're going into your junior year. If you walk in here as a senior and you put on 20 pounds and you're throwing 85, this story will change. And I tell them that. We're constantly evaluating and changing. But here's the thing. I have fun with the kids and they love me. I go, listen, you're not the most attractive guy. You're about a 4 out of 10. They'll laugh. And I go, if I brought you a 10 hot girl in front of you and you guys dated for a week, I would say she's going to break up with you in about 6 weeks as soon as she sees a better looking guy. That's what we're having here. You can focus on this 3 D1 schools here, okay? And you can fall in love with 3 D1 schools. It's my dream school. I've wanted to go to here. Maybe it's LSU. I've always wanted to play baseball at LSU. Well, there comes some credits that you got to have to play at LSU. One, as a pitcher, you got to throw 90. If you're not hitting 90 miles an hour, you're not pitching at LSU. If you're at 85, 86 in high school, it's very hard to get into there. So I will tell them, I went to a Division II school. I threw 90 out of high school. I was an All-American and won 2 national titles. I had the best college career that I think I could have had. I was blessed with an incredible college career. Could have went down to Auburn with my buddy, Stacey Jones. And I often wonder if I went down to Auburn, what it would have been like. I know I wouldn't have got on the field as a freshman like I did at Jacksonville State. Would I have had the opportunities? And I tell everyone today, my daughter's a perfect example. She's a D1 softball player talent-wise. She's a Christian girl. And she came to me and said, there's no draft for women's softball. Technically, she goes, do I even need to go to a bigger school? And I said, you know what? You don't. Where do you want to go to school? She said, I want to go to a smaller Christian school. And so she went to a D3 and she started at shortstop as a freshman and she hit third in the order. So kids need to start focusing on, and guess what? Those D3 schools have kids drafted every year out of there. So if all of a sudden they go down and they're throwing 84, 85 and they sign on to a D3 NAIA or even Division II, a low-level D2, if they put on 20 pounds, start throwing 90, 91 and can pitch, they're going to get drafted. It doesn't stop them from having a chance to play pro ball. What it will do is give you more opportunity. And I'll finish up with this. I say, if I sent you down and I knew the coach at North Carolina, and he was a good friend of mine, and I said, hey, I really want you to take this kid. He's a good student. He's this and that. And I almost talk him into taking you. And you're going to pay for your school. You're going to go down. He's going to take you. They're not going to really give you a scholarship. You're paying for your school. And you go down and you sit the bench. And you don't get in that lineup for 4 years. Did you have a good college experience? Did you enjoy your college baseball experience? And the answer is almost always no. That wouldn't be fun, Mr. Holman. Well, that's what road you're on right now, throwing 82 and 83 and wanting to go to a Power 5 conference. You can always transfer. That's another one. Parents need to understand that. Go to a D3. If all of a sudden you think, man, I'm 91 now, I was 81 coming out of high school, transfer. You've got time, but you're not going to get better sitting on a bench at LSU, patting every guy on the back, saying, good job, knowing that your talent is not good enough to get you in the lineup. So last thing, and I can talk and go on a lot, and I'm trying to give good information to people listening to this, is made up your child with the school that is at the time, and that's a key word, at the time, that is appropriate for your child's talent at the time, so they can play. When they go in, ask the coach, if my son signs here, does he have a chance to play as a freshman? If he says no, I might look somewhere else. If he says, hey, we have a lot of freshmen that participate, we have a lot of freshmen that really fight for a job, your son is good enough that he's going to fight for a job, then, hey, that's probably where you need to go. But if they're saying, hey, you ain't going to see the field till you're a junior and you got to get a lot better before you see the field, it may not be the best place for you.
So one of the things that we talk a lot about is trying to kind of get that network, because the power of that one phone call of a quality baseball guy calling a coach saying, hey, you need to come look at this guy, super important. What do you recommend for families and players of how to build that through coaches, travel baseball? How do you build the number of people that like you, that will make that phone call for you?
Absolutely. And I'm going to be honest with you. That is a big phone call. When I pick up the phone and I call a college coach and I say, I got a kid. I do it so little, and I always undersell and over deliver that they listen to me. Now, if you got a guy that picks up the phone 10 times a day, calling coaches going, I got a kid. And then when the kid gets on campus, he stinks. all of a sudden that guy doesn't carry much credibility anymore. And so I tell parents this, and man, if you ask any kid that's played for me in the last 10 years that attends my clinics, when Mr. Holman says he'll never lie, he never lies. And I have sent kids to people and I go, listen, phenomenal talent. Okay. His grades stink. That's why I'm calling you. He's in trouble. He needs to be somewhere that somebody's going to look after him. If he works, he could be the best player you have on your roster in 2 years. The problem is he doesn't work hard. And I love him. He's a good person. You can actually be a good person and be lazy. And I tell people that. Unfortunately, every good person is not the hardest working kid. And so I tell the parents, listen, your son, I love him. He's funny. He's a joy to be around. He picks up his stuff. He's a really good kid. He's lazy and he doesn't push himself. And when he gets to college, he's going to compete against guys that's going to outwork him. And that always, to me, comes down to the final thing. If you're always getting outworked, you're never going to do well, because the pool, we talk about that pond getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. When you get into college, those guys there, they work and they're going to outwork. And I tell my son that he's probably going to sign professionally. And I go, when you get in there, you're going to go against some dudes that's 22, 23 coming out of college, and they're not going to like you. You're going to be a little high school kid, and they're going to outwork you. And you're going to see right away, man, this is going to be a fight, and you're going to have to really even pick it up more. And my son's a hard worker, but he's going to see that people can even do more. But the phone call from me to recommend a kid is a big deal. And I do it. But here's what I do. And I tell the parents this, listen, here's what I'm going to say. And the parents go, no, don't say that. And that's what, no. That's exactly what I'm going to say, because it is the truth. And if I don't tell them the truth, when he gets there and they go, Craig, he's overslept and missed 9 7:30 classes. 9. He oversleeps, always late. You told me this kid was prompt. He's always on time, hard worker. That's not what I got. The next time I call him, he's going to say, Craig, you're full of shit. The last kid you sent to me was terrible. Okay. He was a good baseball player, but he was in trouble. He didn't pass classes. He couldn't get out of bed. He was out past curfew. So I tell every parent, if you honestly go to a coach and you say, will you make this phone call for me? And I make them. I made 3 last week. Just expect honesty from a reputable guy. If you're going to a coach that you think other coaches will listen to, be prepared. That coach will not lie to you. That's why lie for you. That's why other coaches will listen to him. Because every time I call, they go, hey, if Craig said it, it's true. If Craig said this kid's going to turn out to be really, really, I'd listen to him. He's very good. His numbers are very good when he prognosticates about kids. And so I always tell parents, please, just because you join a travel, and most of my travel teams were paid for, I funded it. I funded all the money for my elite teams from my medical, and I donate money. And the kids got treated. And if they didn't do well, I threw them off the team. Went, hey, you're not paying anything. I bought your uniform. I paid for the tournaments. I don't care. So I was in control of a lot of that. So a lot of the parents today, they think if they pay money, okay, that they deserve this. If I pay money, I deserve that. I mean, you're seeing celebrity superstars in Hollywood paying $200,000-$300,000 to the rowing team to say their kids on the rowing team so they can get into Stanford. So sometimes parents expect that, but to be honest with you, these coaches need to win in college. Their livelihood depends on it. And when it comes to fudging something, I don't do it, because I call them up and say, listen, I wouldn't be calling you if I didn't have a really good, kid here who right now is not probably what you're looking for, but he's going to be. And you're going to thank me, because he's going to raise your team GPA. And he's never going to get in trouble, and he's going to be the hardest worker you have on the team. And they usually say, hey, I'll take him. I don't have any money, but if they want to pay for school, we'll look for some money next year.
What about recruiting video? Did that play a role in Luke's recruiting, or how do you guys use that in the current environment?
My recruiting video stopped at an iPhone. Man, I'd get out my phone, I'd watch a kid throw a bullpen, and I'd video 20 pitches, curveball, change up, boom, contact, text, send it. I did not structure it to where he was running and put music to it and, and fabricate things. And, it was a basic, hey, take a look at this kid. And I'd put a radar gun. If you're going to do it, take a radar, put it in front of the phone, watch a kid throw a bullpen so they see the velocity. I've heard everything and I've seen everything. When I watch a kid on Instagram or Facebook throwing a bullpen and the ball's moving a foot inside run, I know that's about a 4-ounce baseball. They're throwing a 4-ounce ball and it's not a 5-ounce true baseball. And my son throws a 4-ounce ball 101. So when you take a 4-ounce ball, a kid usually gains 5 or 6 miles an hour. But I can watch a run on a four-seam fastball of a 4-ounce ball and go, okay, that's fake video. He's got the kid throwing a 4-ounce baseball, so the velocity is a lot higher. And they know that. Coaches have been around to see that stuff. But just an honest iPhone video. But here's where Prep Baseball Report comes in and Greg Williams. We went down there. They shot video of Luke. I think it was $125. Which you can't beat. He went in, he threw a bullpen. They got shots behind. You can see the depth of the curveball. You can see the arm speed. They got a big clock with a radar gun showing, so you know what the velocity is. It's worth the $125 to go to a Prep Baseball Report or to a PG 25 event. Let them shoot video of you, put it on their website. Coaches access that. Alan Dunn at LSU told me, he said, Craig, they've made us lazy. We used to have to get in the car and drive and do these things. And now I set up the computer and I go, boom, 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 Luke Holman. And I've got 6 videos from area code, PG National, the Jupiter, the pitching with the Brewers. He goes, I can see everything. And they're showing me every ball that he threw, how hard it was. And he said, it's crazy. But it's made us lazy because we can sit at a computer and actually recruit these kids out of high school. So parents, if you're going to do anything, go to a PBR, go to a PG 25 event, spend a little money, and then you only need to do it once unless you think he makes a big jump the following year. If he goes from 85 and now he's throwing 90, take him back and get him back in that circuit again, because these guys want to place kids. I got a lot of guys that I play pro ball with, and some, they're charging too much money. They're making a living. I always say everybody's got to make a living, and they do it well. I don't think they're ripping the kids off. Now, here's what I will say, and I want to make a point here. And anybody listening to this, I'm the most honest person that anybody can talk to, and I'll always say that. Craig Holman, whether you like him or not, you're going to get honesty, and he may hurt your feeling, but he's never going to lie to you. If your son throws 75 miles an hour and you have been to 7 PBR events and you have been to 7 PG 25 events and you've spent $2,800 on these events, and then you go on social media and you bitch and complain that your son has no offers and it's a ripoff, you're an idiot. And I hate to say that, but if you're watching this video and you're that parent, you're an idiot. Okay, you need to understand that I can't build a house with 5 pieces of wood and a bucket of cement. You cannot. Now, if your kid throws 85 to 87 and he's been to 7 events, and you can start complaining a little bit because there's a place for that kid. And if they're not hitting you with a few, hey, I got a college coach out Western Pennsylvania looking for a kid, your son's fits that mold, then they're not doing their job, But I always tell parents, Craig, I've been to 7 PBR events. I've been to 6 here. I've been to 4 college things, paid $300 to go on campus. No one's called us. He hasn't got anything. But how hard does he throw? Jimmy, how hard do you throw? 76, 77. Well, he doesn't throw hard enough, and that's why I wouldn't sign him at a D3. So the parent looks at me and like, well, why would you say that? Because it's honesty. So we have to have expectations as parents to know what we have. And unfortunately, I'm a father. I love my kids. I'll rival the love of my kids up there with anybody. But I'm also a realist. And, my daughter was 5, I think she's 5'6", 5'7", can shoot threes, do all this. She wanted to play D1 basketball. She was in like 10th grade. I went, you're 5'6"? I don't know. There's a lot of girls out there 6 foot tall that can handle that basketball, and it's going to be hard. I didn't tell her, oh, yeah, you can do that easily. I did not say that to her. And I said, look, you're going to be better off playing college softball if you want to play D1. Basketball, it's tough. So parents just need to be honest with their kids. And today it is rampant. We're not. As parents, we're lying to our kids to save their feelings. And I tell parents every year in my camps, the best thing that can happen for your son is for him to get his feelings hurt. The best thing that can happen to your son is for him to fail miserably. Okay. And the best thing you can do is stand by and watch it. And when it happens, hug him, tell him you love him, and say, hey, I just think we need to work harder. Let's go to work. Don't go, the umpire sucked. He was squeezing you. That last pitch on the corner that you struck out on, it was a ball. That wasn't your fault, But the other two, he took right down the middle for strikes. What were you doing then? And it was his 4th strikeout, by the way. He struck out 4 times, and we're still alleviating this. So I tell parents, listen, you do what you want, but one day he's going to have a job. He's going to perform poorly. He's going to get fired. And I hope your son calls you and says, I got fired today, Dad. I was supposed to stack boxes straight up to the ceiling, and I didn't want to do that. I just spread them out all over the floor, and I got fired for it. And, hey, that's not your fault. It's probably better to spread them out all over the floor. That guy doesn't know what he's doing that wants them stacked high. So as parents, I'm more of a parent instructor than a kid, because I did this, and you'll love this, and this needs to be said too. Marty, I think it was like a 14-year-old team that I had, and my son was on. I had the parents rank the kids. I said, tell me who the best player on the team is, and rank them 1 through 14. No name at the top. I said, rank the players. The parents ranked the players. I then had the kids rank the players. Tell me who the number 1 player on our team is, and then tell me all the way down who the 14th best player is. Then I ranked them. Okay. None of the players put their names on it. We just had player. We had parent. I put the rankings up. Do you know the player rankings were almost identical to mine? Almost identical. Okay. The parents were insane crazy. They weren't even close. Of course, I knew, oh, that's Jimmy's dad right there. He's got Jimmy as the 4th best player on the team, and he's the 12th. So I didn't even need a name. I could tell you who wrote the thing up by the way they ranked. So here's my point to that, and I say this a lot. The kids know who's the best player on the team. They do. And they actually know where they stand in the pecking order. They do. So when I have a parent meeting and little Jimmy's not getting playing time, I always turn to Jimmy and I go, hey, Jimmy, do you think you should be starting in the outfield? They always put their head down and go, no. Well, why are we having this meeting? And I'll turn to the parent, and always the parent staring at Jimmy going, why did he just say no? Why did he? I said, so here's what's taking place. Jimmy at home is only agreeing with you to the father. I'll say, listen, Joe, Jimmy's just agreeing with you because you're his father. But when you're telling Jimmy he's the best outfielder, Jimmy knows he's not, but he's agreeing with his dad. So there's the disconnect. Jimmy, I'm telling you, you're 14 years old. When your dad says you're the best outfielder, you got to turn to him and say, I'm not, Dad. I'm not. I'm probably the 4th or 5th best outfielder, but I'm working hard. So what can honestly make recruiting better and save parents from heartache is honesty. The kids being honest and saying, Dad, I throw 78. Okay. These other kids are throwing 90. I'm not in the same class with them right now. So I think a lot of this stuff is transparency that needs to get out there. And so I'm doing my best. Trust me, I'm a one-man mission of doing it, but I'm going to get there. I'm going to get through all the bullshit out there and get it transparent.
So what about visits? With Luke, you talk about finding the right fit. How important are our campus visits, either unofficial or official, with colleges as you're making that decision?
I thought it was huge in our decision. And if Alan Don or anybody at LSU watches this video, we went down and spent 3 days at LSU. We spent our thing, and one time they could let us in, and the other time we went on our own. We walked the campus. We stayed there. We got a hotel. We went to a Saints game. We looked at the whole area, and then we went to Alabama. And that's where I was from. And we walked the campus, and my son looked at me, and, it came down between Alabama, actually LSU, Alabama, and Missouri. And Kentucky was there somewhere because I really liked the coach. And my son looked at me and he said, I feel good walking here on this campus, Alabama. It feels like home. He had never been there. I didn't take him there as a little kid. Now, we loved Alabama because I grew up there, and he wore Alabama jerseys when he was little. But he walked the campus and he goes, I just feel good here. I feel like I would be comfortable going here. He walked LSU and he goes, I don't feel good here. That's what he said. And it came down to that, to be honest with you. And if you go take walks and visit and you don't feel warm and fuzzy, I would probably go on to the next one, to be honest with you. And I'm a big heart guy. The mind will lie. The mind will tell you lies. We will fabricate things with our mind, but the heart is pure. And if you have a really good feeling in your gut, your heart about something, that's probably where you need to be. So my daughter went down to Messiah, walked the campus, and we'd been to 6 softball schools, and she goes, I love it here. I love it here. I just feel good here. And that's where she want to go. And I tell kids all the time, if that's where you think you want to go, just go drive up there, get out of the car and walk the campus, walk around, look at the place, walk by the stadium, look at the baseball, see if you can visualize yourself pitching there, see if your heart feels good and your gut feels good. And then vice versa. I'm a big prayer guy, I'm a Christian guy. And so I tell kids, look, I don't know if you're Christian or not, doesn't really matter. You can either pray about it or you can think about it, either one you want to do. But I tell all the time, meet the coach. If you like the coach and you feel good about that coach, you better like him, because they're all nice during recruiting. They all say the right things to get you there. And that's not the same guy that you get when you get to campus. It's not. And once they get you there, they're a little bit different. So Brad Bohannon at Alabama, one of the nicest people I've ever met. He did. And I'll tell you a quick story. Luke was throwing up here in a high school all-star game down near Philadelphia. And Coach Bohannon called me. He goes, I've seen video of Luke. Man, I've heard incredible stories. He had a local guy send him video and said, I'm telling you right now, this Holman kid, his dad's from Alabama. I'm trying to retire back down to Alabama. I bought some property and building a house down on the lake. And he goes, I know his dad's going to retire back to Alabama. He goes, you got a chance to sign this kid if you'll come up here, because I know they love Alabama. And Bohannon called me. He goes, hey, when's Luke throwing again? I said, he's going to throw tomorrow, 4:00 down there. He goes, where at? I said, oh, it's tomorrow. He's in his office in Alabama, and it's 5:30 in the evening. And he goes, I'll be there. So he got on a flight that next morning at 7:30, flew to Philadelphia, got a rent-a-car, and pulled up at that little stadium at about 3:30 and sat there and watched Luke throw 3 innings. And he got up and said, I'm going to make an offer to him right now. I love the kid. I want him at Alabama. And that wasn't it. Luke threw the next week in a travel tournament in New Jersey for me. And he called and I said, look, he's going to throw Saturday. We're facing a really good team out of the gate. I wish I could throw him later. We're throwing at 10 o'clock. And I said, but it's the number 1 team in our bracket. If we don't beat that team, they're not going to lose. So he goes, I'll be there. And that was Friday. He got on the plane Friday night, flew to New Jersey, got a hotel, drove over, sat behind home plate. And I told Luke, and Luke had been recruited. I mean, he had 20, 22 people behind home plate before. I said, you know what? Any guy that gets on a plane twice like that, the head coach now, not a pitching coach, Head coach, I'd tell that man I'm coming to play for you. And Luke called him and said, Coach Bohannon, I love Alabama anyway. We've walked the campus. We love it. And the fact that you flew up here, it meant everything to me, and he committed to Alabama. So that was his recruiting story. But head coaches make a big impact. And, there's a lot of head coaches that don't have the time to get out and recruit, and they send recruiters. They send the pitching coach, the assistant coach. But when the head guy, and that's why I think Bohannon was recruiter of the year at Kentucky, and he was also the recruiter of the year at Auburn before Alabama hired him as head coach. So he does a great job of recruiting kids, and he's a good person.
So talk a little bit about the communication process. Are you mostly on the phone? Are they texting? Are they DMing on social media? Well, for players who have yet to go through that process, how does it start? And then what's the evolution like with those coaches at that level?
At a young age, Luke was recruited early, so I don't think they can contact him until their junior year. I think that was the rule. And so at 10th grade PBR, they could contact PBR and say, hey, we'd like to know when you're throwing in PBR, which is another good go-between person. Now, Luke's situation was good because I'm his summer league coach. I was the travel coach, so they can contact the travel coach.
And say, hey, call me at 8:00 on Tuesday. And yeah,
that's it. So they called me a lot, and I could talk about other players, and I'm very good at, they would call me about other kids. Lonnie White was a kid we played against a lot down here. And, they'd call and say, what do you think about that kid? And I said, he's a big leaguer. And listen, that kid's going to be a superstar wherever he goes. And they value, once again, it goes back to valuing my opinion. And, hey, Craig told me he's a big leaguer. He walked on the field. He's 16, and Craig said, that dude's going to be a big leaguer, trust me. And he's actually over 2 years, maybe even a first-round draft pick this year. So there's kids you see, and they just stand out. But the communication is tough, and there's so many restrictions, especially for the D1 schools. And even the SEC, the ACC, they get treated a little bit different because they're, the power conferences, those two. So they get a little leeway. I think other schools and, Big Ten, Big East, all this stuff, they probably do a little bit more communicating. But I know I've seen SEC people say, I can't be here. If I get seen that we're the SEC, they throw it out. And, with this COVID thing, they've been treated a little bit harshly. And, because they're playing in Alabama, that we played tournaments all summer. We spent probably 3 months in Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. But yet Bohannon and all the SEC schools, they weren't allowed to go to the games because California's on lockdown. And they said it's not fair to California because they can't recruit that you guys are recruiting here. So they shut them down, which I thought was extremely unfair. And I didn't understand it. Once again, I haven't understood much about this COVID thing, but I know that it put them at a disadvantage because they weren't able to drive 10 minutes down the road to watch some kids play. But communication it's tough.
What about those kids? Maybe some of the late bloomers that are still maybe playing at maybe not Power 5 conferences, but still D1 prospects that are 2022, 23s. What do you have any advice for them right now with COVID, with coaches not being able to see them? Is it all video? What are you telling guys right now?
Yeah, I would honestly send video and keep coaches updated on what you're doing. I think I have an advantage, once again, with my son. I'm just speaking with him because that's what we're going through. I have a complex. I have an indoor mound. I have an indoor weight facility. So, he's working out. The scouts are calling, hey, what's he doing? Hey, he's on a 4-day rotation. He's throwing some bullpens. He's this. The worst thing that a kid can do is just drop communication right now during COVID. And the guys are going, well, I don't know what he's doing. I haven't heard anything. I can't go see him. I don't know if he's even throwing it all. And unfortunately, not every kid is the same. There are kids out there that if they're not playing organized ball, they're not working. And they're not getting to the field. They're not getting to the cages. And that's sad on the aspect of travel baseball has opened up baseball for a lot of kids that, really to be seen. And I was a big travel baseball advocate here in Pennsylvania. I was completely destroyed 10 years ago by Legion when I started my travel program here in Reading, Pennsylvania. Destroyed. I'm ruining Legion baseball. I'm killing it just to make money. I drove a nice car, had a nice Mercedes. They said I was driving a Mercedes because I was ripping kids off when I was selling medical implants and paying for travel baseball. So that's what I used to tell people. I'm like, most of these travel kids have not paid a dime. I'm actually paying for them. Oh, okay. Well, how do you make money? Well, I have another job. That's how I make money. So, you know, I heard everything, but I got a lot of old timers saying you're destroying Legion, and Legion's the greatest thing that ever happened in Pennsylvania. And I said, well, here's the problem I have. I've been to Legion games, and I haven't seen one scout from a college at a Legion game. And I took my son when he was 13, 14 down to Georgia, and there were 20 schools behind home plate watching 14-year-old kids play baseball. So I don't know what you're seeing, but I know for a fact when I build a team of the best players in this county, and I took them to Georgia, and I took them over to New Jersey to PG-25, they got a lot of eyeballs. But every time I asked them, because they would play Legion games during the week, and I'd say, hey, you guys see any scouts at your game? Not one. Not one. And even at the senior Legion level, you know, it's just they, and here's why. And parents watching this video ask me sometimes, well, why do they show up at a travel game? And I always say this, okay, so Legion is structured for schools. You can go to a Legion baseball game and you'll see maybe 2 good players on that team, and you'll see 2 good players on this team. And the rest are average, below average. When I take a trip to New Jersey and watch Holman Hurricane travel team, I have the best players in the county, 1 through 9. We're playing the best team in New Jersey. So they're there watching 9 really good players on this team and 9 really good players on that team. So they're seeing 18 really good players versus 4. So I tell the parents, that's why they go to travel games. You know, a kid that throws 90, it strikes out 14 kids in a Legion game. It's easy to go, well, how would he do against better hitting? I don't know if they just stink, or is he really that good? Well, when you take them to Georgia and you take them to Jersey and you go to Florida, you get to see them face about 7 or 8 really good hitters, and you'll find out quick how good you are. And most of my trips to Georgia, when we got back, I had kids motivated. I had kids. I got a call. There you go. I got most kids when we get back saying, I need to work harder. I need to work harder, because they got to see kids that were the same age that were a lot better than they were.
Craig Holman, former professional player in the Phillies minor league organization, and owner of Holman Baseball Academy, father of Luke Holman, Alabama 2021 Alabama signee. Man, I appreciate you spending some time, man. I got so many more questions, and like we blew through an hour like really quick. You're gonna have to come back.
Listen, we'll do it again. We'll do it again. I love to talk, and I love talking with you. So it just kind of flows back and forth. And like I said, we can talk about a lot of stuff.
Hey, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, bud. Talk to you later.